If you're considering buying a home in the Clarksville, Tennessee area, but are curious about what the actual steps are in the home buying process, then this video is for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Carla here with Keller Williams Realty, your local realtor in Clarksville, Tennessee. And today I'm going over 10 steps in the home buying process. Maybe you've bought a house in the past, but it's been a few years and you need a refresher. Or maybe it's your very first home and you're thinking about buying and you really want to know what you're about to get yourself into. Well, no worries, that's what we're going over today. And make sure you watch this video to the end where I share with you one of my favorite bonus tips in the home buying process. So let's get right into it. Okay, so step one, picking out your real estate agent, your licensed realtor who's going to be working with you from step one all the way to the closing table. You want to make sure and talk with them, speak with them, interview them, have a Zoom call maybe, and make sure that this real estate agent is a good fit for you and your family. You want to make sure that you ask all your questions, that you have an understanding on expectations, and that everything is a good personality fit to help minimize any misunderstandings or conflicts down the road. So that is very important. So once you know the agent that you want to work with, that agent will likely have you sign what's called an exclusive buyer's representation agreement. So that's a long mouthful of words. So basically is a form that you sign that protects the client and protects the agent. It means that you're working with this particular agent and this brokerage and no one else. It explains the duties and expectations of both parties, and it also explains how we as agents are compensated. So did you know that if you hire a buyer's agent to represent you in the home buying process, it's actually at no cost to you? So some people don't know that, but we are compensated from the seller or the builder in the transaction in your home buying process. So that's great news. Also, when you will sign that will be when you're actually starting to look at homes. So if you're going to be here in 6 months or a year, you're not looking at homes yet. Personally, I would not have you sign that yet. But once you get to the point where you're here or you're doing virtual tours and you're ready to look at houses, that's when I would ask you to sign that. It would be signed from the person that's on the loan. And if you don't want to sign it, then hey, I understand, but I wouldn't be able to show you houses unless you have that signed. So I would just wish you the best of luck in your home buying journey at that point. Okay, step number two, getting pre-approved. Getting pre-approved is actually one of the most important steps in the entire home buying process. I can't emphasize this enough. Who you decide to go through, the company you affiliate with and does your pre-approval is such an important step, and actually in this market can make or break your offer getting accepted. If you are pre-approved through some random obscure online company that no one's ever heard of before, then your offer may not get accepted, believe it or not. It's super important that you do your due diligence and the loan officer that is handling your transaction is squared away and is great with communication, has overall wonderful customer service. Ask around, get referrals, or ask your agent, and we can recommend a few loan officers in our area. That being said, I do want to say that there is a difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Getting pre-qualified essentially means that it's more of an informal process. You verbally will give your loan officer your numbers, meaning your debts, your income, your cash on hand, and you'll do things verbally to get an idea of what you can get pre-approved for, but nothing's been necessarily pulled credit-wise, nothing has been submitted paperwork-wise. Getting pre-approved means that you have an actual pre-approval letter from your loan officer saying that due diligence has been done, meaning your credit has been pulled. They have gone into the details of your debts. They have your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, figured out. They know your cash on hand and your credit score, all those wonderful things we have to deal with in this process. And they will make a determination after looking at your file whether or not you can be approved for and how much and all that good stuff. And then they will send you a formal pre-approval letter that you will give to your agent. And at that point, once I have that in hand, we can start rocking and rolling and looking at homes. And another major reason we need to have you pre-approved before we can look at houses is to know your actual budget and your buying power in this market. The last thing I want to do is show you a $350,000 house that you absolutely love and has all these bells and whistles, and just to find out that you can actually only afford a $200 and something thousand house. Now, none of the houses I'm going to be showing you that are actually within your budget are going to compare to that first house I showed you before we knew what you were actually pre-approved for. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, that being said, try not to let that discourage you or scare you. I do have a handful of local lenders here in the Clarksville area. So if you don't know where to start on that or simply just want a second opinion, just let me know and I'd be happy to refer you to them to get you pointed in the right direction on your pre-approval. Okay, so now you have your agent that you want to work with, you have your lender and your pre-approval letter already taken care of. Now step 3 is the fun part where we get to look at homes. Now at this point, I will be sending you homes probably on a daily basis for you to look over and pick out your top 4 or 5 homes that you really love. And at that point, I'm going to be scheduling showings for you, and I might just be doing them on my own if you're doing virtual and you're out of state, or you'll be coming with me to do the showings in person. And I have many clients that are out of state, so we do virtual showings through FaceTime or WhatsApp or whatever's easiest for you. So that's not a problem. So once we start looking at houses, it's important that you and your spouse, if you're looking together as a family, have that conversation of what you need versus what you want, what you prefer to have versus what are actual deal breakers. Because realistically, we're not going to find a house that's going to meet every single thing that you need. And so it's important that we have realistic expectations on the front end to minimize frustration throughout the home search process. I also try to encourage my buyers not to get too attached to these homes during the home showing process, because with this crazy market that we're still in, it's a seller's market. It is very likely that you will see a house one day and it'll be gone off the market tomorrow or before we can even make it out to the house to see it. So I just want to set the expectation now that try not to get too emotionally attached or invested into a house too quickly. Okay, step number 4, putting in your offer. Once you've narrowed it down and decided what house you want to put an offer on, then you and your agent will discuss a strategy on how aggressive you want to go. That might look like putting in earnest money. That might look like going over asking price, maybe waiving repairs from your home inspection, paying for your own closing costs. Those are a few examples of what you can expect in our market right now that a lot of buyers are doing, just as a heads up. If you're coming to Clarksville looking for a deal, looking for a steal, realistically that isn't going to happen unless maybe the house has been sitting for a while. Then your strategy obviously would look different. But talk it over with your agent and they'll guide you on what is customary in the market and how to put your best foot forward in getting your offer accepted. Now, things are changing a little bit. Thankfully, we have 560 houses for sale as of today in Montgomery County versus a few months ago, we were sitting at 180 houses. So things are improving, but as a buyer, expect that your offer may not get accepted on your first offer, and it might take a few times before your offer will get accepted. So I just want to be transparent on the front end to set realistic expectations for you. So step number 5 is the seller loves your offer. They agree to your terms, they accept your offer, and now we are officially under contract. So yes, that just got real. We are buying a house now. So let's move on quickly to the next step. Okay, so now that we are under contract and our offer's been accepted, step 6 is we are going to have our home inspection. Now your contract will tell you how many days that you have to get your home inspection completed. Usually it's around 10 in our market or so. You can have any and all inspections done on the home by a licensed professional, and I highly recommend that you always have a home inspection done. And it's very important, even if everything looks good from the outside, you never know what the inside and the systems will tell you once you get into the weeds and you get the professional in there. And if you need, again, a referral for a home inspector, I can always, of course, refer you to a few in the Clarksville area. Okay, moving right along, step number 7 is negotiating home repairs. Now, once you've had your home inspection completed, at that point, your agent will submit what's called a prepare proposal on the items that you'd like the seller to repair on the home. Now, some buyers, especially in this market, they're not asking for any repairs. However, if you do want some repairs done, you would submit your prepare proposal and you negotiate with the seller on what items you'd like to be repaired. Now, the seller might say, okay, I'll agree to X, Y, and Z repairs. They might say, I'm not agreeing to any repairs. Or they might say, I agree to do all the repairs. Or maybe they'll agree in lieu of repairs to give a buyer's credit at closing instead of doing repairs. That'll be up to you and your agent to go decide what's best for you and your family. Can't come to a meeting of the minds, you can't agree, then at that point you would have legal right to terminate your contract if you can't agree on repairs. So just so you know how that works. Moving right along. Okay, step number 8 is your appraisal. So a lot of people get home inspection and appraisals confused. They're two separate things. One is for the buyer to pay directly to the home inspector. It's usually around $400 for your home inspector here. And the appraisal is ordered through your lender. Now you still pay for that as the buyer, it's a buyer's expense, but that's ordered through your lender and we have nothing to do with it. It's ordered through a third party. The lender has no control over it. Your agent have no control over it. It's through a third party entity, and the appraisal will get out there whenever they get out there. We have no control over it, and they determine the value of the home. They also might request some repairs to the appraiser, and that's separate from your home inspection repairs. Typically, if the house needs repairs by the appraiser, that's something the seller would generally take care of and not the buyer. Now, just a heads up, the appraisal process is one of the most lengthy processes through the transaction typically. Some appraisers get out there right away and get the report submitted right away. Others might take a week or two to even get out there and then another week to submit the report. So please be patient during this time period, and just as a reminder, your agent and your lender have no control over this, so please understand that. Okay, step number 9 is the final walkthrough. So we've almost made it to the finish line. We've had our home inspection done, we've had negotiated repairs, the appraisal's been completed already, and now we are almost there. We're at the final walkthrough now that you're gonna walk through the home with your agent, make sure all is well, and make sure all your repairs have been done if you negotiated in repairs. And once you've completed that, then you're gonna be due to close any day now. Okay, step number 10, we've made it to the finish line. It is closing day. This is the day to celebrate. You're gonna sign all your documents at the title company. You're gonna get keys in your hand, take some pictures with your awesome agent. If you are out of state or out of town, no worries. The documents will be remotely sent to you. So you'll do what's called a remote closing. We do remote closings all the time. But it's a very exciting day, and this is when you get to finally move all your things into your new home and start the new journey. How long does this entire process take, you might be wondering? Well, typically from the time you put your offer in and you go under contract to the time you have keys in hand is generally around 30 to 40 days in our market here in Clarksville. Okay, I promised you at the beginning of the video that I would give you a bonus tip, so here it is. Please make sure that you buy a house that you can really actually afford realistically. And just because your lender tells you you're pre-approved for say $400,000 doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend up to $400,000. If you run your numbers and you're more comfortable with your payments at the $300,000 or $350,000 range, then please do that. The last thing I want as your agent is you to buy a house and it be a curse instead of a blessing. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to spend as much as you're pre-approved for. That's it for my video today, guys. I hope you got some good tips out of this. Hope it was valuable. If it was, please give it a like or subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And maybe even considering hitting that bell so you'll be notified in the future when I release more videos. And I'll see you in the next video.